Why humans are the only animal that gets bored. Right now, somewhere in the world, a person is staring at a ceiling doing absolutely nothing. Not sleeping, not thinking about anything important, just lying there, feeling a strange, uncomfortable pull towards something, anything else. You felt this. Everyone has. That low, restless ache that creeps in the moment nothing is demanding your attention. You reach for your phone. You turn on something to watch. You eat when you're not hungry. You scroll without reading anything. And you call it boredom. But here's what nobody tells you about boredom. It is not an emotion. It is not laziness. It is not a modern problem created by screens and short attention spans. It is one of the most uniquely human experiences on the planet, and it may be the single most important force that built civilization. No other animal gets bored. Not the way you do. A dog left alone in a house doesn't lie there feeling restless and unfulfilled. It sleeps. It waits. It exists without that gnawing pull towards something more. A lion that has eaten will lie in the sun for 20 hours without a single moment of existential discomfort. A crow, one of the most intelligent animals on Earth, will sit on a branch and simply be. No urge to create, no hunger for novelty, no sense that something is missing. And then there's you. Give yourself 30 minutes with nothing to do, and your brain starts to rebel. Why? The answer starts about 2 million years ago, in a brain that was changing faster than any brain had ever changed before. Your ancestors were not born with curiosity. They evolved it. And the engine that drove that evolution was something neuroscientists now call the novelty-seeking system. A network of dopamine pathways in your brain that reward you specifically for encountering something new. When your ancestor walked into an unexplored valley and found a new food source, their brain released dopamine. Not just because of the food, because of the newness. The brain was literally training itself to crave exploration. This system was not a luxury. It was survival. The humans who stayed curious, who pushed into new territories, who tried new foods, who experimented with new tools, those were the ones who found resources when the old ones ran out. The ones who got comfortable and stayed still were the ones who starved when the environment changed. Curiosity kept you alive for 2 million years. And boredom is what curiosity feels like when it has nothing to work on. Think about that for a moment. Boredom is not the absence of curiosity. It is curiosity with nowhere to go. Your brain is scanning for novelty right now. It is always scanning. And when it finds nothing new, no unexplored valley, no new food source, no problem to solve, it sends you a signal. An uncomfortable, restless, impossible to ignore signal that says, move, explore, find something. This is not enough. That signal is boredom. In 2014, a study at the University of Virginia gave participants a choice. They could sit alone in a room with their thoughts for 15 minutes, doing nothing, or they could press a button that would give them a mild electric shock. 2/3 of men and 1/4 of women chose the electric shock over sitting alone with nothing to do. They preferred physical pain to boredom. Let that land for a second. Your brain would rather hurt than be bored. And that tells you everything you need to know about how powerful this signal is. It was never designed to be ignored. It was designed to be obeyed. But here's where it gets more interesting. Researchers have found that boredom doesn't just make you seek novelty. It makes you creative. A 2014 study by psychologist Sandi Mann at the University of Central Lancashire found that people who were made to feel bored before a creative task significantly outperformed people who weren't bored first. The bored brain, deprived of external stimulation, turns inward. It starts making connections. It daydreams. It wanders into territory that focused, task-driven thinking never reaches. And in that wandering, it finds ideas. Every great creative breakthrough in human history, art, music, philosophy, science came from a brain that had space to be bored. Einstein was famously a daydreamer. Darwin spent hours doing nothing productive by anyone else's standards. Newton's great insight about gravity reportedly came during a period of enforced idleness during a plague lockdown. Boredom is not the enemy of great thinking. It is the engine of it. And yet, we are doing everything in our power to eliminate it. The average person now touches their phone 2,617 times a day. The average attention span before reaching for a device is less than 47 seconds. We have built an entire industrial system, social media, streaming, notifications, infinite scroll, whose sole purpose is to make sure your brain never has to experience a single moment of boredom. And it is making us less creative, less patient, and less capable of the deep thinking that made humans remarkable in the first place. Because here's what we lost when we eliminated boredom. We eliminated the gap. The gap is the space between stimulation and response, between input and thought, between experience and meaning. Your ancestors lived in that gap constantly. Around the fire at night, with nothing demanding their attention, their brains wandered into the territory where stories are born, where plans are made, where the future gets imagined. The campfire was boring by modern standards. There was nothing to watch, nothing to scroll, just fire, darkness, and the faces of the people around you. And in that boredom, humans became storytellers, philosophers, artists, dreamers. You carry that same brain, the same novelty-seeking system, the same capacity for the kind of deep, wandering thought that changes everything. But you are filling every gap with noise, every commute, every waiting room, every moment between tasks, every meal eaten alone. Every second your brain reaches toward the gap, you hand it a phone. And the part of your brain that built civilization never gets to work. Neuroscientist Mary Helen Immordino-Yang at the University of Southern California has spent years studying what happens in the brain during rest and mind wandering. What she found was striking. The default mode network, the part of your brain that activates when you are doing nothing, is not actually doing nothing. It is doing some of the most important cognitive work of your life. It is processing emotion, building identity, constructing moral reasoning, making sense of your experiences. When you never let yourself be bored, you are not just missing out on creativity. You are interrupting the process by which your brain makes you a coherent human being. You are not supposed to be stimulated every second. You were not built for this. So the next time boredom finds you, in a waiting room, in a queue, in the quiet minutes before sleep, try something your ancestors did every night without thinking. Do nothing. Let the signal do what it was designed to do. Let your brain wander into the gap. Let curiosity move without a destination. Because the most important things your mind has ever made, the ideas, the connections, the quiet realizations that changed how you see everything, none of them came while you were scrolling. They came in the moments when you had nothing to do, and you called it boredom. But your brain called it work.